What is up guys, it's RJ here, and today with me I have the iPhone 10 and the iPhone SE 2020. Now this might seem like a weird comparison, but these two devices are actually more similar than you may think. But before we continue, if this is your first time here on this channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys could leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel because that would go a long way in helping me out. Now currently both these iPhones can be had for $400, and that's why I decided to do a comparison to help you guys decide which might be the better buy depending on what you're looking for in an iPhone. The iPhone 10 is made of a glass back with a stainless steel finish around the frame. It comes in two different colors, silver and space gray. It's rated IP67 water and dust resistant, and biometrics wise it uses facial recognition to unlock the device. The iPhone SE is also made of a glass back with an aluminum frame finish. It comes in three different colors, black, white, and product red. It's also rated IP67 water and dust resistant, and the SE uses second generation Touch ID technology to unlock the device, which actually is my preferred method of unlocking a smartphone, especially in a day and age where face masks have become so prevalent, ultimately rendering Face ID useless. In the hands, the iPhone 10 is definitely heavier, weighing in at 174 grams. Not only is it heavier, it also feels like a more premium device. Now this may seem like a negligible difference, but that 56-gram difference becomes noticeable after long hours of use and you start to feel that strain on your hands. So a lighter phone is definitely better if you plan on using your phone for longer periods of time in one sitting. And since the iPhone SE is smaller, it's easier to use one-handed, which I personally believe is a huge underrated feature of the iPhone SE. Display-wise, there really is no competition. The iPhone 10 is sporting a beautiful 5.8-inch OLED panel with a resolution of 2436 by 1125, which works out to be about 459 pixels per inch. The iPhone SE, on the other hand, is equipped with a 4.7-inch IPS LCD display with a pixel resolution of 1334 by 750, which works out to about 326 ppi. There's also a lot less bezels on the iPhone 10, whereas the iPhone SE, there's a huge bottom bezel and a huge top bezel. So there really is no question about it, the iPhone 10 is the clear winner in the screen department. Now some people might worry about burn-in due to it being an OLED panel, but in my 2+ years of owning an iPhone 10, I haven't experienced any issues thus far. The iPhone 10 has an 82.35% screen to body ratio, whereas the iPhone SE has a 65.34% screen to body ratio. So simply putting it, aesthetics wise, the iPhone 10 is the clear winner. In terms of performance, the iPhone SE is a beast. On the outside, it may not look like a flagship, but internally it performs like a beast. And hey, it's really what's on the inside that counts, right? The iPhone SE is running Apple's new A13 Bionic chipset, which is also found in the iPhone 11, the iPhone 11 Pro, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It also has 3GB of RAM. Meanwhile, the iPhone 10 is rocking Apple's A11 Bionic chipset, also with 3GB of RAM. Now, for the everyday average consumer, it's going to be really hard to notice a difference in performance between the iPhone SE and the iPhone 10. The A11 Bionic chipset found on the iPhone 10 till this day still outperforms some Android flagships, but there's really no denying it. For the iPhone SE to get these monster specs for only $399 US, I have to tip my hat to Apple and give the performance edge over to the iPhone SE. Both these iPhones have built-in stereo speakers, one located on the front by the camera and the other on the bottom next to the lightning port. Let's do a quick speaker quality test and you guys can decide which one sounds better for yourself. I assume a lot of people out there are interested in which one has the better battery life. The iPhone 10 has a 2716 mAh battery, whereas the iPhone SE has a 1821 mAh battery. A bigger battery doesn't necessarily equate to better battery life. The OLED panel found on the iPhone 10 is naturally going to consume more battery than the 720 LCD panel found on the iPhone SE. Not to mention, the battery health on the iPhone 10 has dwindled all the way down to 83% battery health in a span of 2 years, so it lost about 17%, which I do consider to be the norm. Currently, I'm averaging around 5 hours of screen on time on the iPhone SE. So the combination of an 1821 mAh battery combined with an IPS LCD display and some pretty good software optimization has resulted in some pretty good battery life. On my 2+ year-old iPhone 10, I'm barely able to get around 3 hours of screen on time these days. But back in the day when my iPhone 10 was at 100% battery health, I was averaging around 5 hours of screen on time, so on par with the iPhone SE. So in terms of battery life, if you do find an iPhone 10 with 100% battery health, you'll be getting around the same hours of screen on time. So I'll call it a draw in the battery life department. Both these iPhones also feature wireless charging, which is always a plus. They also feature the same fast charging speeds, 50% battery life in about 30 minutes. But you do need to purchase an entirely different USB-C to Lightning cable for that, which is going to run you around $80. Now, a major reason I feel like why a lot of users will go for the iPhone SE over the iPhone 10, aside from the internal specs, is the camera. And the camera is definitely a lot better on the iPhone SE. But surprisingly, it's the exact same 12 megapixel lens found on the iPhone 10. The iPhone 10 has a dual camera setup supporting a wide-angle lens and a telephoto lens. The SE only has a single wide-angle lens. Apple refuses to tell us which camera they put into the iPhone SE. Most people think it's the iPhone 11's camera. But both of these lenses are 12 megapixels, both have the same f1.8 aperture, both have the exact same focal length of 28mm, and both have the same sensor size. So you can pretty confidently say that the iPhone 10 and the iPhone SE are equipped with the same 12 megapixel lens. But it's the A13's chipset that takes the iPhone SE's photos to another level. Take a look at some of these pictures side by side in nicely lit conditions. The SE takes some nice photos with a lot of dynamic range and great color accuracy. I'm actually super impressed that we're able to take photos like this on a $400 smartphone. But the Pixel 3a might be better in the camera department. I am planning on doing a full comparison with the Pixel 3a and the iPhone SE, so if you guys are interested in that, make sure you are subscribed. Now, there is no second camera on the iPhone SE, but it does support portrait mode, portrait lighting, and depth control using image signal processors and the neural engine for computational photography. We also have portrait mode on the iPhone 10, but we don't get the same control over portrait lighting and depth control due to a weaker neural engine. The front-facing camera, or the selfie camera, on both these iPhones are subpar to say the least. They both have a 7 megapixel selfie camera, both feature portrait mode and depth control support. On the iPhone SE, however, we have a new feature called Quick Take, which allows you to shoot videos while still in photo taking mode. It's pretty cool because it allows you to zoom into objects during your video playback, so kind of groundbreaking stuff. Video recording wise, both these iPhones are capable of shooting in 4K at 60 FPS. The video quality that comes out of both these iPhones look pretty much the same to me. You get the same features on both these iPhones like optical image stabilization, continuous autofocus, and time-lapse videos. So far in this comparison, you guys might be thinking both these iPhones seem pretty even, but the iPhone SE does have one major advantage over the iPhone 10, and that is software updates. The iPhone SE 2020 is guaranteed to get at least 4 years of software updates, whereas the iPhone 10, already being a 2+ year-old device, will only be getting another 2 years of updates, maybe 3 if we are lucky. But continued software support is crucial, and it's a major reason why I push most people towards getting the iPhone SE over the iPhone 10. Concluding this video is going to be very difficult because, as you guys saw for yourself, both the iPhone SE and the iPhone 10 are very similar in almost every aspect. For myself personally, I love the aesthetics of the iPhone 10 and its premium build quality, not to mention the superior OLED display. The only major downfall being software updates and the camera. If you're like me and you prefer the aesthetics of the iPhone 10 over the iPhone SE, and you can find one with around 90% battery health for $400 or less, then I would definitely pull the trigger because this is still a great phone. But if you don't care about the aesthetics and you want a brand new iPhone that is going to serve you well for the next 5 years with a decent camera, stellar performance, I would definitely go for the iPhone SE. So let me ask you guys, after watching this comparison video between the iPhone SE and the iPhone 10, which would you get? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I'll catch you all in the next one. If you guys haven't already subscribed, make sure you do. And as always, don't forget to flex with your tech.